Alright guys, so we're going to be unboxing the 55-inch Sony A80J. So we're just going to dive right into it, but make sure on this video you leave what you want to see, and I'll keep going back to this in the prior pregame video and just making sure we check everything out and give you guys what you want to see. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. Alright guys, so now we're going to snip and we're going to cut the strap here. So we're just going to dig in and just boop, just like that. Now we're gonna lift the box off this bad boy. So I just knew I'd be able to just unbox this TV. Nope. Unlike the A90J, there's actually tape on the bottom of the box here, so I'm gonna have to cut that. I was ready to just lift it up, and I tried to lift it up, and no dice, no go. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more snipping and cutting of the tape. Okay, so unlike the A90J, this bad boy back here does not actually lift up. So what we're gonna have to end up doing is, well, going from the top and pulling everything out that way. So not my ideal method, but it's a method and it works. So we're gonna have to do it that way. All right, guys, so as you see at the top here, we have the feet. We're gonna have to pull that out. We've got the remote and all of its glory, if you can really call it that. It's the cheap remote. But something I was really worried about was that we'd get the power cable that's built in, but we have a detachable, so that's already very good. I was really nervous about that, but already looking like 10 out of 10 so far as the presentation goes. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually like that I don't have to lift the box up and then wrap it a billion and one times. There's just gonna be like a singular piece of tape over the top. If you move, you could just box this up easy because of the way Sony packaged it. Way better thought process than what we're having on the A90J for $3,000. And again, not doing bad as far as the presentation so far. So let's continue. Okay guys, so you want to hear some bullshit? The first thing I thought when I pulled this out of the box was, ooh, I'm telling. Because oh my God. Okay, so not only does it have the XR logo that I knew it was gonna have. There it is. Read 'em and weep. I'm gonna raise my ISO so you can see it, right? There it is, the XR logo. It's got this nice, like, geometric, kind of like grid pattern like we saw in the 930 back in the day. Bro, this is not even the top tier model. The top tier model didn't even have all this. Oh, but wait, I get extra salty because the sides of the TV are metal. Cold to the touch, metal. Bro, it was cheap plastic on the A90J, the whole fucking TV. I don't know what kind of sick game Sony is playing with the high-end customer, but oh my God, if you have an A90J, right about now, you should be pretty pissed off because they tried so much harder on the A80J than they did on the A90J, and this should tell you everything you need to know. Okay, so we've got our 4K at 120 Hertz port on HDMI 4, and on HDMI 3. Again, you only have two HDMI ports, so if you're looking at something like the LG C1, that's gonna be a better proposition value because all four are HDMI 2.1, 4K 120 Hertz ports, versus you only having two here, one of which occupies eARC and your ARC. So yeah, not ideal. But then you have just, you know, the regular stuff that you'd come to expect. One of your HDMI ports at the bottom. And another thing, again, one of your regular HDMI ports, I mean, like your 4K 60 ports, is gonna be HDMI port 2, and then 1 is the other one. But one thing to note here is that Sony I don't know why they do this, they make it so that you have to go upside down to put your inputs in. Now, it doesn't seem like a big deal until you're doing it and you're in the back of the TV and it's sitting up, and then you're finagling trying to get it underneath, versus like something where it would come through the side. That's more convenient, and LG does that. So that's, again, something negative for the Sony that you might want to think about depending on your living and, you know, arrangement and environment. Now, the rest of the ports are here, as you guys can see right over here. There we go. And yeah, nothing too crazy, just basic HDMI ports. But oh my God, I'm so salty that it's cold to the touch. It's the nice metal build quality. Like, how is the A80J getting better build quality than the Sony A90J? I am still on that. I still think that's some old bogus BS, but either way, you're seeing it right here. Now for the stand assembly. As to not insult your intelligence, it's very simple. We just line it up, and all you literally are gonna do is push it in. Be very careful. I already did the other leg, and when I did the other leg, I ended up jamming it and pinching my finger, so, you know, be careful because you can jack yourself up, but other than that, it's literally just a plug and play. Another thing to note though is that on the 55-inch variant, you only have the arrangement for the widest stand option. You don't have the option for the center mount. As you see, it's all covered up. There's nowhere for you to change or adjust the feet at all. It's either wide or bust. I think this is their way of arbitrarily forcing you to upgrade into the more expensive 65-inch version like they want you to do. So that's something, again, Sony is typical with doing, and you might want to think about that if you're making an investment. Now we take the power cable and we plug it in. Very easy to do. I'll open up the ISO. Maybe you can see the hole here, right there. Everything's blown out, but essentially it's just right in here. So then what we do, we take the power cable. It's very, very self-explanatory. We put it in the hole, and then we plug it in. Now I've got it all turned around because I'm looking more at the camera than how I actually put it in. But when you're not doing that and you're paying attention to what you're doing, it would ideally be a lot easier than this. Though this is proving to be a little bit more of a pain in the ass, so I think that's more in the way of how they cut it. So there's obviously a little bit more wiggling you have to do, but once you do a little bit of wiggling, it's done. It is important to note though on the power cable, Sony, like the geniuses they are at engineering, decided to be absolutely stupid as usual and do something that makes no sense. So as you guys see, you wiggle the power cable in and it goes in like so. Wonderful, done, easy, right? Yeah, but then you have it kind of dangling here. They didn't add any cutout or wire management of any kind. This is kind of a big deal because this TV is over $2,000, and for that amount of money, I don't think it would have been too hard to put a damn notch somewhere so that your wire isn't just getting bent and probably gonna make you replace it after a while. I don't know. It's one of those smaller gripes that add up to a bigger picture thing of being annoying and just Sony not really being very thoughtful and doing basic stuff. But what can we say? It's modern Sony. All right, so now that we've got the TV powered on, we're gonna start going over some of the stuff with the initial sign up. So you pick your state, United States for me. Then they're going to ask you your region. Just click United States again. Now it's asking about Google TV, and honestly speaking, I don't sign up with the Google account and all that other stuff, so I'm just going to hit set up basic TV. And now in typical fashion with Sony's bullshit, you are forced to click accept with Google's terms of service. This is the point where you must return this TV if you are not okay with anything in the terms of service. There is not a fast forward, an apply later, a skip for now, nothing. It is a submit all the way, we tell you what to do. And it's more of that comply bullshit we see in 2021, and I do not like it. I'm not okay with it. It's been going on for so many years now, and I'm the only person that ever talks about it. It's disgusting, and all of you AV reviewers right now watching this video, all of you should be ashamed of yourself because this is something that's anti-consumer. I don't understand how hard it is for you guys to understand that anyone telling you that you can't use a TV you just paid for without submitting the terms of service that have nothing to do with you if you plan on using it offline or just want to plug and play. It's disgusting. This should only exist for online stuff when they're collecting data and all that bullshit. But they literally one of the first things they tell you if you go into the second paragraph, this device may also automatically receive and install updates and Google apps from Google. And some of these apps may offer in-app additional purchases. You can remove them or adjust their permissions on your device from time to time, but essentially they're telling you that it may install things, it may not. I don't like that shit, right? Like don't put a clause in there that you can just install what you want on my device. This is the kind of stuff that gets me livid, and I've been talking about this alone, Lone Ranger out here, #1 brand in honesty for years, because all the AV guys you're watching, they're trash. They don't have the integrity to do what I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna do it yet again. This should not exist. If you're watching Sony, anyone else, make this go away. It's disgusting, anti-consumer, and it's the part of the unboxing video where every single reviewer and influencer out there should be railing them for this, because this is nasty. But I'll digress. Once you comply to their bullshit, for the sake of the review I have no choice, then on to their Bravia experience. The ultra commie, super fascist bullshit experience that awaits you. I can almost guarantee you. Let's make a bet, folks. I haven't even seen this TV, okay? I'm gonna bet Everything about the picture processing is going to be almost exactly the same as the Sony A90J in all the worst ways. We'll find out, but I don't see Sony actually trying here. I think they did good with the presentation, but I think that's where it really stops, because honestly speaking, it's still Sony, right? And the fact that when it gets to their Bravia policy, you have the option to proceed later should tell you everything about their direction with Google and that synergy and that evil little partnership there. I'm not letting that go. There's no good reason for that, and even when I want to digress, I just go right back to it because they immediately meet you with another policy right here in the form of their Bravia policy right there. So it's really hard to let it go when they show you one policy you can't get around and then another one you can agree to all later, or you can just simply fucking proceed. How mind-blowing is that? But anyway, I get triggered every time I see that forced bullshit. I don't like this commie bullshit, but you guys already know me. You guys know what it's all about. But after you do all that, it says, how's your TV top position when you go through all those prompts? Tabletop for life for me. Then we do the acoustic calibration, which takes seconds. It's pretty noisy, but it gets the job done. The microphone that's built in some sort of way, somehow it's gonna ask you to record the audio, and then you just hit allow so it can record the speaker audio or whatever the hell it's doing, and then it will be very loud. And that's basically it. That's the whole calibration, and then you're done, and that's pretty much it. I guess not. I guess it's still going. And now it's done. Okay, very simple, two-step process. Not very hard. Then they're asking about Apple Airplay and HomeKit. I don't personally fuck with Apple. It's not my shindig. So if you do, that's your business, but I don't buy Apple products. So I'm just gonna hit next, and we're just gonna skip, and it says setup complete. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here we are out of the box, and I'm just gonna kind of give you guys a little idea of what the image quality looks like. Now, out of the box so far, not looking great. I've already put it in IMAX enhanced mode, haven't done a thing to it. So I think now is a good time to go over the picture options that you do have available. Okay, so you have the auto picture mode, which you never want to turn that on. That's basically just going to default to the crappiest settings possible. I never use it. Light sensor this year, you have only two options. You have the auto tone curve and the luminance level. So you do not have the color temperature one that you have on the A90J. So we'll see how much of an issue that is or is not going to be. A light sensor, you immediately want to turn that off though, because it significantly nerfs your brightness all around. So for the most part, or rather not the light sensor, rather the automatic luminance level. That thing I really don't use because that's just your brightness. You can control that yourself, and so we just ignore that. Then under the brightness tab, we've got brightness and contrast, gamma, all working the same. HDR tone mapping can be enabled the same way it was on the A90J. If you go into video options, you go into HDR. I recommend you go to HLG, you hit force. This is how you can create an HDR effect mode, by the way. Get very creative with some settings, which I'll be doing for my members. If you want to join, definitely join, because I'll be throwing that sauce your way. But you can choose gradation preferred, which strikes more accurate luminosity and a balance between colors and contrast. Or you can go brightness preferred and say, to hell with all that, just give me the most brightest picture you can find, the global brightness that I have to die for, basically. And this is what I usually like to do when I'm creating, again, just creative settings. But for all intents and purposes, we're just gonna turn it to auto, which will just default it off. Okay, so then you have black level, works the same as it did last year. You have adjust black level, that works about the same as it did last year too. Same with advanced contrast enhancer, peak luminance. You still have high, medium, or low, or off. Honestly speaking, just leave it on high. That's where you're gonna get the most impact anyway. Then we have color. It's set to 50, you have your hue, you have your expert color temperature. Expert 1 is selected for IMAX enhanced mode out of the gate. So you don't really have to do a whole lot to get the so-called more professional look, which basically is just warming up your colors really to open up more color gradients and things like that. So, you know, say la vie there. But you do have live color on low, which I'm not usually a fan of. You turn that down, contrast usually goes up immediately because live color is just an oversaturation tool. High, on the other hand, the way I looked at it, if you really like saturation, that really just caught my eye when I just went to high just now. So I might want to play with that and see if there's some sort of balance I can strike and make this a usable feature. Again, something I'll be offering for the members if you want to join and be a part of that community. But for now, I'm just going to turn it off. Now, under the clarity tab, sharpness,
is the same. Manual creation is the same. Let's see, we have auto, we have manual, and we have off, the same as before. And you can take this all the way up to 100, I believe. On the reality creation, if I'm not mistaken, there's, yeah, all the way up to 100. So you can go crazy if you want to over sharpen your picture. For whatever reason, if you felt like doing that, you could. We're gonna open up our settings back again, because I did not mean to exit out. Okay, back under the clarity tab. And okay, so after the reality creation, we have noise reductions. They work imaginingly the same way that they did before. Okay, so low, medium, and high. And then there's an auto feature if you don't want to do any of the guesswork. And the same for the digital noise reduction. So random noise reduction and digital noise reduction work exactly the same. Then smooth gradation, you have low, medium, high. There's no auto feature, but you can turn it off. Honestly speaking, it's best to just pop this in high anyway to try to smooth out any banding you may see, which it gives you a picture of it right next to the text, so you really don't have to guess what banding looks like. So again, regardless of your experience level, you're able to digest that. Now, the motion is where I have the biggest gripe, because you only have auto or custom or off. What kind of bullshit is that? Sony used to offer smooth, true cinema, standard. They did more to smooth out the motion and give the user more control over the type of motion you wanted. Now it's basically auto or just a custom, which basically you only have minimum 1, 2, or max. That's it for the smoothness. So if you don't like what it looks like after that, just tough. And then for clearness, I mean, you can turn it on to +1, but shortly after that, +2 starts getting really dark, and max is basically unusable because it's a flickery mess. So honestly speaking, I mean, really, it's not great either way you look at it. I don't know. Some people prefer it where they turn all the motion processing off and the screen is filled with judder. That really gets some people hot in the crotch for it. I don't like it. I hate judder. I think it's nasty, and Sony needs to put those smooth options back for people like me who like hyperrealism. Because let me just put this out there for anybody getting triggered in the comments. You don't watch real life motion in judder. When a car passes by or a bird flies by in real life, it's smooth. And that's what these smoothing options do. And people like me want to see that. Even if there's more artifacting or things like that as an expense, the ability to be able to have those features do matter. And for Sony to still not have those features and to omit those features is disgusting, and something for $2,000 you're missing out on. A TV like the LG C1 has all of those features. So regardless on if you're one of those purist snobs or you're one of the people that's just trying to take advantage of hyper-realistic motion, it doesn't matter. You can pick whatever preference you like, and that's user power, power to the user. Sony doesn't have that anymore. How funny, because they try to preach power to the player with their PlayStation, but you guys are seeing there's clearly no power here, especially with those Google terms of services. Yeah, I had to do that. But anyway, we're gonna go back to Cinemotion, where you have it set to high, you have it set to low. You don't even have the medium option you used to have in years prior. So again, you're seeing things exit. They don't ever tell you what they take out of these TVs. They just do it, right? And you show up to the party like, hi, I've got $2,000. And they're like, hey, we've got a new TV, XR Cognitive. Oh, but it also offers less than older TVs. This is the stuff these reviewers aren't going to tell you, because you're not going to buy from those affiliate links where they make those commissions to stay in business. So if you want the truth, there it is. You just lost the ability to go to medium Cinemotion, which again was actually one of the better balanced options in the TV. And you can always turn it off if you don't like that. So, you know, it is what it is there. Now under video signal, to Sony's credit, you do have HDR, you do have HDMI range where you can set it to full, you can set it to low, you can set it to however you want. You can force options here, which is wonderful. Under the color space, you have auto, which is basically the Rec 709. We can confirm this because when you go to auto and you go to Rec 709, there is no change. At least this is the case for SDR. If it's an HDR, it will default to BT 2020. Now that being said, we can move on to Dci P3. Colors get more saturated, and as I look at it with my naked eye, the vibrancy is incredible. Absolutely beautiful reds. No complaints here, and I honestly don't feel like I have to do anything after just putting it in DCI. Then we go to Adobe RGB. There's some work that needs to be done there, but from experience, I know that this mode has the most potential. And then BT 2020, everything is overly red. There's a lot of work that you have to do here, so it might not be ideal for everyone to use it, but you can force everything you want to, which is not something that other TV manufacturers have the option of doing. For example, LG, they don't have a Dci P3 color space that is workable. I have the C1, I have the C10, and I can tell you, like with those TVs, it just doesn't work. It's just like a dud feature. So maybe something LG might want to work on. And especially if you're looking at LG as the direct comparison to this, I know a lot of people are talking about the A80J, the Sony A80J, Bravia OLED, right? Versus the 55-inch or 60-inch or whatever you get for the LG C1. That's something to weigh up there. But essentially, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Then we go to the advanced color temperature options, where again, this is just your 2-point white balance correction. Most people, by the way, will be fine with a 2-point white balance correction. Sony TVs and most TVs in general usually fall relatively in line after that, and you don't have to go all crazy doing a 10-point. It's really not usually necessary. But if you wanted to, here it is. You can do that. You will need professional tools and equipment to do that, but again, you do have the option to do that. And then you got the color adjustment. Per color adjustment works the same as it did and all the years prior that Sony has implemented it, so it's great. It works like an HSL, which is a hue, saturation, and luminance slider, but they like to call luminance the lightness, which makes no sense. It's an HSL. And if you're familiar with, you know, editing photos or videography at all, color grading at all, this is what that is. It's an HSL. So that's basically how you can calibrate and adjust your colors to get exactly the look that you want, or so it's supposed to be ideally. And while I'm at it, might as well go over picture modes, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know that as well. So we have the following modes. We have vivid, we have standard, we have cinema, we have game, we have graphics, photo, IMAX enhanced, which is my personal favorite, and we have custom, which I don't really care much for. And then outside of that, that's pretty much it. You can obviously explore all of these other options. Go into the edit tab and it'll show all the ones even that are grayed out. You have access to speaker, home theater, network, Bluetooth, text magnification, screen reader, things like that. So yeah, it's completely up to you as to what you do enable and disable. And I'll just turn off Bravia notifications since I don't need that anyway. And there we go. So now that we got that out of the way, I'll be showing you guys just a little bit of like what the picture quality looks like. You guys are kind of seeing out of the box, it looks like poop. There's not really a sugar-coating way of saying that. I've done nothing to this TV. Just whipped it out, you know, left it on the auto color. It's shitty. It's meh at best. I mean, you absolutely need to do some work to it. I put it in Dci P3 and it made things feel a little better, but not everybody's gonna wanna do that. But so far the imagery, not impressing me at all out of the gate, at least when we talk about out of the box. But what TV has ever been good out of the box? Apparently Digital Trends thinks every TV they review is good out of the box, which is why their reviews always suck, because they do this. They just whip it out of the box and say, oh, the Sony is definitely worse than the LG, and the LG doesn't come close to the Sony. Well, no shit, genius. If you just whip it out of the box and you don't know anything about the TV you're reviewing, then yeah, it doesn't come close. But again, that's just how this world works. It's just a bunch of people playing games with you. I'm gonna tell you in real time, don't waste your time thinking that out of the box is a superstar. It's not, and it's definitely showing here. So hopefully this initial kind of showing gave you an idea of the image quality. I've got a lot of work to do to this, and I will do just that. And when we come back, we'll come back with some stellar image quality. But at least for an initial impression, or so to speak, you get an idea as to how it's hitting and where it's hitting. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.